Welcome 2021. Today is the first day back from Christmas break. Today's January 4th. Hopefully everybody had a good, safe holiday. Um, I know mine was much rested, and I hope yours was as well. Hopefully you guys come back with a sense of renewal and you're ready to go. So, for the self-start today, I am having students go to Canvas into the announcements and having them take a survey. Um, the survey is just kind of letting me know how things went. No big deal. Do it if you want, do it if you don't, or don't want to do it, whatever, I don't care. But it's just something that's just kind of cool for me to look at just to see how everybody's doing. So after that, they are checking grades. There's your deep thought for the day. As far as information goes, first thing, parent-teacher conferences are coming up next Wednesday. So that's less than 2 weeks away. What that means is this: we're almost halfway through this trimester. We're almost halfway through the school year already, guys. That's crazy to think about. So, with that being said, if you want your midterm grades and report cards to look good for parent-teacher conference, then make sure that you have any missing work or retakes on feedbacks done by this Friday so we can get those grades kind of finalized in time. For today, we're going to just reintroduce equations to you. This is something we did right before we went to Christmas break. And after that, we're going to hand back the feedbacks you guys did right before Christmas break, and we're just going to go through and correct them as a class. So, do you remember the 3 things required to earn credit for when solving these? So there's 3 things. First thing, draw my fence. Second thing is what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So the inverse operation, or the opposite of subtracting 11, would be to add 11. So I'm going to do that to both sides. Those cancel out. I'm going to bring this down. So I have 7x left on this side. And 66 plus 11 is going to give me 77. So that's step number 1. We got rid of our constant. So now the 7x equals 77. That 7 and that x, when there's nothing between them, when they're squished together, that means to multiply. So the opposite, or the inverse operation, would be to divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 7, and I get an answer of x equals 11. So there's the third thing required to get credit. Draw your fence. Show me what you do to one side, you do to the other side. What I do to one side, I do to the other side. And I list my answer as the variable equals that answer. Why are we reviewing this? Well, there's a couple reasons. First off, let's face it, we're coming off a long break, and to try to teach you and have you guys learn some brand new material would be really, really difficult. So we're just going to help you refocus, getting back into the whole scheme of things. But because you have to be able to correctly manipulate and solve 2-step and multi-step equations, not only this year, but in the years to come, it's really good for you just to cement things down, make sure you guys understand it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this week and we're going to review equations again. So it's pretty similar to what we did right before. We'll cover the same type of material, give you guys some new problems to look at, so on and so forth. So today in class, we're going to be fixing mistakes and correcting the feedback. So what that means is this. You're not going to be able to fix this feedback and turn it in for a higher grade like you've been able to in the past. But there's some good news coming up with that as well. You will have 2 feedbacks this week. So you'll have one on Wednesday, the 4-question feedback, and then you will have one on Friday that has the 6 questions. Because you're taking 2 sets of feedback, so you did 1 set of feedback before Christmas break and you're doing one again this week, you're going to get 2 scores, but you get to keep the higher of the 2 scores. So for example, if the feedback that we did right before Christmas break, you got a 2.5 on. And then on this week's feedback, you get a 3. You get to keep the 3. If you got a 3.3 on the first feedback, but then got a 3 on this week's feedback, you get to keep the 3.3. So you get to keep the higher of the two scores. Also, once we do the feedbacks for this week, then you'll be able to fix your oopses and earn higher grades on this week's feedback. So there you go. So question number 5. This was from the feedback that we did in class. Write and solve an algebraic equation to describe the following situation. Suppose you purchase 6 identical pencils and $2 for a Sharpie marker. You spend $5.90 in all. Let P, so there's a variable, represent the cost of each pencil. What is the cost of each pencil? Well, what parts do we know? We know we bought 6 pencils. We know we spent $2 for a Sharpie, for a marker. So $2 for a Sharpie marker. We know a total, $5.90. What do we not know? We don't know what the cost of each pencil is. So we were told we have to use the variable P for that. So write the equation, solve. What I always do first is do the total, because I know that the total should go on this side of my equal sign. Over on this side, I have 6 pencils. I spent $2 for a marker. Then I see a keyword right there, and. The word and means I'm going to be adding. Each pencil means we're going to be multiplying our pencils. So our 6 is going to be multiplied by the cost of each pencil. So there we go. So there's our equation being set up. To solve it, I subtract 2 from both sides. Bring down my 6p. 5.90 minus 2 is going to give me 3.90. I'm going to divide both sides by 6. When I type in my calculator 3.9 divided by 6, I come back with an answer of 0.65. So that means each pencil is 65 cents. So I'm going to put my answer as my variable equals my answer. And there you go. Question number 6 on the feedback. Heather's Bike Shop rents bikes for $14 plus $3 each hour. Maria paid $20 to rent a bike. How many hours did she rent the bike? Well, let's list out the parts. What do we know? Well, we know we spent $14 on bike, on the rent. And $3 each hour. I know my total. I spent $20, or Maria spent $20. What do we not know? We don't know how many hours. So I'm going to put down here number of hours. I'm going to use the variable h for that, for hours. Now we have to write the equation. Again, I always put the total first, because I know the total goes on this side of my equal sign. So now I'm going to put down my parts. So I have $14 for a rental. I have $3 each hour. I see a keyword in there, plus, so that means we're going to be adding. And I see a keyword each, $3 each hour. So I'm going to put my hours, which is my variable, with how much I spent. And there's my equation. To solve it, fence. What I do to one side, I do to the other side. That gives me 3h. 20 minus 14 is 6. I'm going to divide both sides by 3. That means h equals 2. So how many hours did she rent the bike? She rented it for 2 hours. Okay, now these are the problems that threw quite a few students off, and this is probably where we struggled the most. So I've got negative 2.4, and then in parentheses, 3x minus 9 equals a negative 17.28. Because I have parentheses, this is the time that I do my rainbows. When I do my rainbows, remember, we're multiplying, not adding. So, negative 2.4 times 3x. If I type this into my calculator, I get negative 7.2x. Now, this is the part that people struggled with. They forgot that you can use a superpower. So a negative times a negative is going to give me a positive, and then a 2.4 times 9 gives me 21.6. And then I'm going to bring down my equals negative 17.28. So now I have a two-step problem. Draw my fence. I want to get rid of the term without a variable. So I'm going to subtract 21.6 from both sides. That gives me negative 7.2x left on this side. And a negative 17.28 minus 21.6 gives me negative 38.88. So now that negative 7.2 and that x are connected by multiplying, so I'm going to divide by a negative 7.2. This was the next thing people struggled with, is they forgot to divide by a negative 7.2. They actually divided by a positive. So if I do negative 38.88 divided by negative 7.2, I get an answer of a positive 5.4. There you go. Next problem. I see parentheses, I see something else outside parentheses, but parentheses comes first. So I'm going to do my rainbows. 4.5 times 6.2 gives me an answer of 27.9. 4.5 times 9 gives me an answer of 40.5. I'm going to bring down my plus 2.3, and that's going to equal my 266. I see some things that I can combine. Oop, I even forgot my variable. Look at that. There we go. So I see some things I can combine. I can combine the positive 40.5 and the positive 2.3. So when I combine those, I can still bring down my 27.9x. And 40.5 plus 2.3 is going to give me 42.8. Draw my fence. We're going to subtract 42.8. So 266 minus 42.8 is going to give me 223.2. I'm going to bring down my 27.9x, and we're going to divide both sides by 27.9. When I type that into my calculator, I get an answer that says x equals 8. Question number 9 on the feedback says, a group of 6 friends went to the movie. Each person buys a drink, which costs $2.50 each, and a ticket. They spent a total of $60. What was the cost of each movie ticket? So what parts do we know? We know 6 friends went, so there's 6 people. We know that they got a drink, which was $2.50. And we know that they had to get a ticket. We know our total, which was 60. What do we not know? Well, we don't know the cost for each movie ticket. Again, hopefully you guys can read my writing. I'm trying to write using a mouse, and it's harder than it sounds. So we need to set up an equation now. So let's pretend just one person went. Forget the 6 friends. Let's just pretend one person goes. Well, that one person buys a drink for $2.50. And there's that keyword that means add a ticket. Well, we don't know how much a ticket was, so we're just going to use the variable t. So that's just one person. But now you have a group of 6 friends that are going. So we're going to multiply that whole thing by 6 and put my total down here as well. I'm going to distribute. So 6 times 2.5 gives me 15. We're going to do another rainbow. 6 times t gives me 6t. And that equals 60. So now I can solve it. I'm going to subtract 15. I'm going to kind of run out of room, but that's okay. So now I have 6t equals 60 minus 15 gives me 45. And now I'm going to divide both sides by 6. When I do 45 divided by 6, I get an answer of 7.5. So how much was each ticket? It was $7.50. Okay, last one. A farmer ships oranges in crates that weigh 6.1 pounds when empty. Each orange weighs 0.38 pounds. The total weight of the crate filled with oranges is 63.1 pounds. What is the number of oranges that can be packed into each crate? Things we know. Okay, so 6.1 when the crate is empty. Each orange is 0.38. There you go. We know that the total is 63.1. What do we not know? Well, we don't know how many oranges or the number of oranges can go into the crate. So now we set it up. I always put my total first, 63.1. And here we go. So it's 6.1 pounds when it's empty. And a lot of people started looking for some keywords, and I don't really see anything else except for each. So does that mean I multiply? Not quite. So think about it like this. The crate is 6.1 pounds, and each orange is 0.38. Because of that word each, that's my multiply. So that's what it's going to look like. So to solve it, I subtract 6.1 from both sides. Bring down my 0.38x. 63.1 minus 6.1 gives me 57. So now I'm going to divide both sides by 0.38. Well, that was really bad. 57 divided by 0.38 gives me a grand total of 150. So how many oranges can go into each crate? 150. There you go. I know this video was a little bit longer, but I wanted to make sure you guys understood how to solve these types of problems. If you have any questions, message me through Canvas, email me, do what you need to do, and we will talk to you soon.